rapper Lil Xan, who I don't have any inkling about as it relates to his music, but he was on
He's ugly.
Well, you know.
Well, all right.
Just for y'all to need a description.
Google him.
You'll see. You'll see what we're looking at. I'm looking at it now. Yeah, I'm looking at it now, Terry. Now that you say that, that brother,
he's got some face art, right?
Yeah, he's been through some things.
Look like he chew on steel.
Yeah. Maybe we'll find out why with this topic. So he says that he's accusing his ex-manager of supplying him with drugs, and that basically saying that he added to his addiction. I'm gonna try to read a excerpt from his comment, which has some few words missing, but we're gonna get through it. He says, am I telling you that he was doing nothing but speeding up my drug use by supplying which I think he meant me, with every pill that could have killed me? Yes, I'm making this public because I know in my heart this happens way too often, and it's how we end up losing some of our greatest artists way too young. People must answer for their crimes. I remember days on tour, my security would have to check on me to see if I was still breathing. So he's basically saying that his manager was aiding his quote unquote habit.
His name is Lil Xan.
Come on, exactly.
I was gonna go there. I
think that's everybody's sentiment at this point.
Did his manager choose his name?
Please continue, sir.
And for those of you who don't know where we're going, that Xan, Lil Xan, is short for Lil Xanax.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is what I was talking about earlier. Terry, correct me if I'm wrong, but when he says we're losing other artists, I took that as maybe he's trying to say that there's perhaps other managers that might be aiding as well. I don't know.
Probably Juice WRLD.
You see what I'm saying?
I mean, Juice WRLD ate like
Juice WRLD shot?
5. Nah, he down like 5 perk 30s.
I'm thinking of somebody else.
I'm sure his manager didn't put 5 perk 30s in his mouth.
Yeah, he was on a plane about to land too.
He got caught and he tried to get out of it.
Yeah, but listen,
unfortunate.
Lil Xan, like you just stated, his name is Lil Xan.
That's his name.
If he felt that much of a need to want to disassociate himself with his drug habit, probably should have started by renaming himself.
Well, maybe he will now.
What if his actual?
What if he does it?
What if his actual name is Xander?
I don't do that.
He needs to just call himself Xander. It's probably a better name for
not even Lil.
I'm playing white devil's advocate. Y'all just got to listen.
Here's another thing I'll say is a lot of these artists that he's referring to are kids, though.
True.
So, kids are highly dependent upon what's cool culture and what's popping and what to seem cool, and to a lot of those kids, drug culture is cool.
So does the concept of the manager?
No, does
that seem far-fetched?
That's not a new concept for one.
That's I mean,
as a manager, your job is pretty much to look out for your artists and supply this artist with what they need.
Right.
Not necessarily drugs, but in his situation, his name is Lil Xan. He probably takes a lot of Xannies. And he probably at one point asked his manager to find him those drugs.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So you put in.
Maybe it's that male, maybe male, but maybe it's that adult role model that maybe should have done better.
Should have. Did anybody help Dewey Cox? Nobody helped Dewey.
I mean, you usually have a road manager that's responsible for you usually have a road manager that's responsible for how things go on travel. I'm not looking at him when you travel and things of that nature. So
walk hard, man.
I was like, are you talking about the movie?
I'm trying not to look over there. I mean, but the name, though.
I'm talking about a fictional character, but
yeah,
it is what it is.
That's why I was like, hold up.
I don't know, man. Jay Moore, what you think, man? Do you have a take on this young man's just coming off as a cry for help?
Perhaps it is, but at the same time, your manager's job is to get you from city to city, and when you get to that city, get you on stage.
Yeah.
If you got to get whatever it is into your system to get on stage and to make it happen, then he's going to do that. His job is not to make you a better person. It's to keep the train rolling. And I know that's some cold-blooded logic to have. Yeah. But, if so-and-so needed some snow back in the day, then you got them that snow. Okay. If they need, a certain a drink or some weed to get on stage, then the manager, they would designate people to get them those substances. This is nothing new. And if
he says something right there.
Yeah, you know, so like we're acting like these are new problems or new issues. I think Lil Xan, yes, maybe this is a cry for help, but at the same time, you have to. I mean, I don't know how old this individual is.
These kids are young, man. He's super
okay,
young.
but you know what? Like,
young.
you know, if you leave, you know, him in a room full of drugs, he could choose to say yes or say no. Not, I hate to say yes.
You gotta be careful with that.
You know, if you left him in a room full of books, you know, what was he going to do with a room full of books? You know, it's not like he's going to.
Don't do that long.
I'm just saying, you know, people have choices to make. Yeah. You know, and not right now, maybe what he's saying, this is his choice to say, I want to get away from this drug culture. And I commend him for that, because there are a lot of people who are just to the point where like they can't live without it.
Right.
There are people who have been doing heroin, you know, consistently for years, because that's partially because their body can't live without it.
True.
But, you know, I think, you know, there's always a certain level of personal responsibility you have to take. And maybe right now is his personal responsibility.
I mean, how
old is he really?
Yeah, how old is Lil Xan?
But
I don't know, but hold up. I know he's young.
But
he's
how
very
much
young.
responsibility are we going to give to a minor that got hooked on drugs when they were a minor?
That's a good question.
You know what I mean?
That's a good question.
That's the only argument that I would have with that, is because, like, yeah, okay, if he's an adult, I mean, addiction's a real thing.
Yeah. That's
no, I'm not going to say it's.
we're not saying it's not.
I say addiction is actually. It's actually an illness.
Yeah,
No, for sure.
We're not saying that it's not. So
I mean, I know we're kind of poking fun at it because it's kind of ironic that he's the one that's coming out. Maybe not. But I don't know. Like, I think the argument here is really what we're saying is I keep saying is the manager really at fault here? Or how much of it is personal responsibility?
It's both of their fault. That's the whole thing about it. So somebody has to, like you said, accountability. He has to realize that he put his manager in a position at one point in time to probably ask him for these drugs. Now, as a manager, I hired you as my manager, right? I'm in a position to hire you as my manager. If I'm asking you to give me something, aren't I supposed to get it for you? Since I'm hired as your manager?
Not if it's illegal.
Not if it's illegal. This is the
technically
music.
not.
This is the music business.
Industry.
I mean, everybody knows the music business is riddled with drugs or whatever kind. Who knows? But you have to take accountability for yourself. You can't get on social media and completely point your finger at your manager for supplying you these drugs and talk about you want to sue your manager for getting you high.
Is that what he wants to do? Is sue the manager?
Yeah, he wants to sue. He wants a little further than he wants to sue the manager for supplying him drugs. Okay, so I don't. That's the part I don't understand. There's something that they probably should sit down and have a conversation about.
Right.
But you can't get on social media and completely blame your habit that you had before you got with this manager because your name is Lil Xan. That it's all his fault for supplying you with drugs. That's all I'm saying.
Right. No, I can dig that.
I mean, but we've each named so many, factors that are involved in it. You got addiction being a real thing. You got what Terry's talking about as it relates to the accountability and who should be held accountable for what, or what percentage, if you want to say that. You got the fact that he's a young kid, but you also have the fact that he's an artist with the name Lil Xan. So there's a lot going on here. And to Terry's point about the suing the manager, that almost gives off it does give off the vibe that you think is one-sided. And we don't know. We're going off speculation based off what we think and what we're reading. But to his point, it's like, if you're going to sue him, there has to be some form of accountability in there somewhere, is all I'm saying. Like, we got to figure out what that is. Because the manager's
like, well, I got to sue the drug dealers. They're the one that gave me
and then we're going to continue. Exactly. We continue to go around circles because we talk about the manager, the road manager, or whomever.
𝗏𝗏𝗄 was actually his manager. I don't know if y'all remember who that is. 𝗏𝗏𝗄 was on Shady.
He was on Shady and Aftermath.
Yeah.
Like, I remember shout to 𝗏𝗏𝗄𝗏 Lex did a mixtape for him back in the day.
Is it fair to say that even with managers, or if you have road managers, there still can be people that truly care about you that can be like, yo, man, let's chill, let's pull back a little bit.
Those aren't the people that you hired to manage you.
Yeah.
Okay.
You hire the people who are going to get you on stage and get you what you need and get you from point A to point B, and they're going to do whatever they got to do, whether it's to to have your rider make sure you have nothing but turkey in your dressing room, or 100 white
Skittles.
towels, or nothing but green Skittles, or enough drugs to get you on stage so you can perform.
I mean, at the end of the day, he's still trying to point out something that's bad and needs to be fixed. So you don't want to lose sight of that, but it's just layers in this, man. Because who knows who?
If he had came out and said, starting off with, I know I put myself in a situation to where I was hooked on these drugs and I'm clean now and blah blah blah, apply to me. I have to take accountability for putting my manager in that position to have to supply me with these drugs as well.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I don't have a issue with him for that, but I did have an issue with him for being at Circle Central Mall dropping N-bombs in the food court. I don't know if y'all remember when doing that.
Oh yeah.
No, I don't remember that.
I remember shout out to a producer that I know. He said I remember him being extremely upset about that. Extremely upset. Like it was.
But it was the drugs.
It's all 𝗀𝗏 fault. We need. How old is Lil Xan?
Somebody look 25. I think he's 25.
He's 25. Okay.
Oh,
He's older than I thought.
yeah. I'm thinking he's a kid. No, come on now.
He's 25 years old, from what I saw. On
He's probably been active about 5 years.
All right,
so-
that would make him make him adult.
He was down there at 21.
Yeah, you can say that. Yeah, that's
In
what
the
they
eyes of
say.
the law,
Yeah.
that's what they do to us. So I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, I'm glad he's off drugs, but at the same time, take
I am
accountability for yourself, man. You can't put all that blame on your manager. And then somebody was in the background, like co-signing, telling him what to say too.
Oh yeah.
Like you should have been the same cat telling him not to do the drugs when he was doing them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think about remember the movie Dreamgirls where the brother's like, come on, man, it's Christmas.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Early looks at him.
Jimmy got sold.
Yeah.
Good movie, by the way.
And it was just like, you can only do so much. You can tell people, hey, maybe you shouldn't do this, and they will look at you and tell you to get out of the room.
Yeah. Do we know, man? You don't want none of this.